It began as a simple late-night drive and ended as one of Canada's most haunting disappearances. What happened to 26-year-old Marshall Iwasa is a mystery that continues to baffle investigators, his family, and the public to this day. On the night of November 17, 2019, Marshall drove from Calgary to Lethbridge, Alberta, to visit his mother and help her with some computer issues. Around 11 p.m., he said goodbye and told her he was heading back to Calgary. But instead of returning home, Marshall drove to a local storage facility. Records later showed he tried for hours to access his unit during the night, even though the gates wouldn't open until morning. When the facility finally opened, he entered his locker and stayed there for about 2 hours. Nothing appeared to have been removed, not even the camping gear he kept inside. After that moment, Marshall Iwasa vanished. 6 days later, hikers deep in the remote mountains of British Columbia stumbled upon a chilling scene. A burnt-out truck abandoned on a rugged logging road nearly 1,000 kilometers away. It was Marshall's vehicle. The area was so isolated that few people even knew the road existed. Scattered nearby were his clothes, personal items, and smashed electronics, including several broken phones and gaming consoles that didn't even belong to him. But his most important belongings, like his backpack, laptop, wallet, and his pearl-white Samsung Galaxy S6, were missing and have never been found. The location made no sense. Marshall had no ties to the area, no friends there, and no reason to travel that far. Even stranger, he wasn't actually attending classes at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology as his family had believed. That revelation came only after he disappeared, leaving his loved ones shocked and confused about what he might have been hiding. His family insists Marshall was not the kind of person to disappear willingly. He was close to his sister, who lived in Hawaii, and kept in regular contact. While he could be private, he wasn't secretive, and he certainly wasn't known to vanish without a word. Yet the official response to his disappearance raised more questions than answers. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police did not classify the case as criminal, despite the alarming details. The burned truck site wasn't properly tested for months, and even when evidence was gathered, the results were never publicly released. Over time, the case was transferred to the Lethbridge Police Service, but it still isn't considered a criminal investigation. No sightings, no surveillance footage, and no trace of his journey between the two provinces have ever surfaced. Marshall's financial activity stopped 2 days before he went missing, making his cross-country drive even harder to explain. Even more unsettling is that Marshall's disappearance is not unique. Other men, Daniel Rios, Luke Neville, Richard Skerr, Ryan Preventure, Ryan Stuker, and Ben Tina, have vanished under eerily similar circumstances in the same region. Some of their vehicles were also found abandoned or burned, yet most of them remain missing. Years later, Marshall's family continues to fight for answers, trapped between hope and despair. To them, this is not a story of someone who chose to disappear, but of something far more complex and deeply disturbing. The mountains of British Columbia and the plains of Alberta may hold the truth, but for now, the case of Marshall Iwasa remains one of Canada's most haunting modern mysteries, a story written in ashes, silence, and endless unanswered questions. After their terrifying encounter, the two men displayed a range of emotions: confusion, fear, and disbelief. At the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, deputies initially suspected that both men might have been under the influence of alcohol. Former Captain Glenn Ryder, still with the department to this day, admitted that he initially chuckled at the report, but decided to hear their story. Parker and Hickson, however, remained firm and consistent in their account, showing no signs of deception. Following the formal interview, deputies left the men alone in a room, secretly placing a tape recorder to capture their private conversation. Their intention was clear: to catch them contradicting themselves, laughing about their act, or revealing any hint that the story was fabricated. Instead, what the recording revealed left investigators stunned. The two men expressed nothing but fear and confusion. Hickson was heard telling Parker, "It scared me to death too. You can't just get over something like that in a lifetime. May Jesus Christ have mercy on us." The men sounded genuinely terrified, their voices trembling, their emotions raw. Captain Ryder later admitted, "I don't know what happened to them, but I do know one thing: fear like that can't be faked." The next morning, newspapers across Pascagoula and Gulfport carried the story on their front pages. Overnight, the small Mississippi town became the epicenter of a media frenzy. Journalists, UFO investigators, and curious onlookers poured in, all wanting to hear from the two men who claimed to have encountered something from beyond this world. The fascination with unidentified flying objects wasn't new. Since the alleged crash in Roswell, New Mexico, in 1947, countless reports had surfaced of strange lights in the sky and government cover-ups. Yet this case felt different. The fear in Parker and Hickson's voices was real. In the 2 weeks that followed, authorities were flooded with more reports of strange sightings along the Gulf Coast, further deepening the mystery. But as the story of Pascagoula's sea people faded from headlines, another ancient mystery from the real sea began to emerge, one that stretched back more than 3,000 years. Over 12 centuries before Christ, the Bronze Age, an era of mighty kingdoms, prosperous trade routes, and advanced civilizations, suddenly collapsed. Great empires crumbled, cities burned, and literacy itself vanished in many regions. The only power that managed to survive with its sovereignty intact was Egypt. Historians now call this event the Late Bronze Age collapse, a catastrophe that ushered in centuries of decline. For generations, the cause remained a mystery. When Egyptian hieroglyphs were finally deciphered in modern times, they told a chilling story. Vast armies from the sea, a confederation of mysterious raiders known only as the Sea People. Over 2,000 years before the Vikings terrorized Europe, these warriors stormed across the Mediterranean, striking fear into the greatest empires of their age. Egyptian inscriptions describe their ships surging from the waves, their armies overwhelming city after city, leaving nothing but ash and ruins behind. The record spoke of these invaders as giants, monsters of the deep who rose from the sea to wage war against humanity itself. Archaeologists later found evidence to support the destruction: layers of burned cities, collapsed fortresses, and once thriving ports reduced to rubble across the eastern Mediterranean. Cities like Ugarit, Hattusa, and countless others fell within decades, erasing centuries of progress in a single generation. Pharaoh Meneptah recorded one of the earliest encounters with them, describing how Libyan tribes allied with foreign seafarers to invade the Nile Delta. He claimed victory over several named tribes: the Shiaden, the Denyen, the Luka, the Peliset, the Sheklesh, the Cheka, and the Akawasha. A generation later, under Ramesses III, Egypt faced the greatest wave of attacks yet. Around 1170 BCE, the Sea People swept across the Mediterranean, destroying towns from Anatolia to Cyprus and into the Levant. Ramesses prepared for war, building traps and fortifications along the Nile Delta. His inscriptions at Medinet Habu show massive sea battles, Egyptian archers firing volleys of arrows as ships burned and enemy warriors fell into the water. Egypt survived, but only barely. Even after their defeat, the question remained: who were the Sea People, and where did they come from? Archaeologists and linguists suggest they were not one nation but a coalition of displaced peoples, warriors, refugees, and raiders forced from their homelands by famine, earthquakes, or collapsing economies. Some may have come from Anatolia, others from the Aegean, and some possibly from the remnants of Troy itself. One group, the Peliset, may have later become the Philistines, known from the Bible as ancient enemies of Israel. Their pottery and architecture show distinct Aegean influence, hinting at their foreign origins. In the wake of their invasions, the Bronze Age world was transformed. Great kingdoms were gone, trade routes severed, and a dark age began. Out of this chaos would eventually rise the new civilizations of Greece, Israel, and Rome. Egypt endured, but at great cost. The wars drained its wealth and manpower, leading to internal unrest, even the first recorded labor strike in history, when workers refused to build tombs until they were paid. The Sea People had not only destroyed cities, they had changed the course of history itself. Thousands of years later, their mystery still endures. Were they survivors of natural disaster, outcasts turned conquerors, or something else entirely, beings whose origins were as strange as the myths that describe them? Their story reminds us how fragile civilizations truly are, how even the mightiest empires can fall to forces they never fully understood. The Sea People rose from the waves, reshaped the ancient world, and disappeared again into history's depths, a haunting reminder of how easily an age can end. Coroner Noel Nunnan accused Nan of unlawfully taking the lives of the individuals in a pending court case. Nunnan stated that the skipper should have ensured all safety measures were in place and maintained constant vigilance for the safety of passengers. Given the gravity and number of mistakes made, Nunnan was confident that a fair jury would find Mr. Nan guilty based on the criminal evidence presented. However, Nan was ultimately declared innocent. Despite the verdict, the company was forced out of business after admitting guilt to negligence and paying a substantial fine. The tragic case of Tom and Eileen Lonergan led to a wave of government reforms that introduced stricter safety measures, such as mandatory headcounts and identification verification before and after every dive. The haunting story of their disappearance inspired the 2003 film Open Water, which brought their fate to the attention of audiences around the world. During the hot summer months in Bahia, Brazil, a region known for its lush coastlines and influx of American tourists, an eerie image began circulating online. It showed what appeared to be a demonic, horned humanoid creature standing waist-deep in a muddy river surrounded by dense mangrove trees. In its arms, it seemed to cradle the limp body of a small human. The photograph, allegedly taken by a 15-year-old American tourist, spread rapidly across the internet. The girl reportedly snapped the photo before fleeing in terror. Given the sharp clarity of the image, many argued that if it were fake, it would have required exceptional practical effects or expert editing. Some skeptics tried to explain the figure as a local fisherman covered in mud. The region is known for its clamfishers who often work alone in secluded areas. Yet the photo showed no trace of normal human features. The creature's skin appeared completely grey, its eyes and mouth darkened, and its bald head protruded with horn-like formations from the sides. Every skeptical explanation failed to account for the small, lifeless body it seemed to hold. Over the years, new sightings of the so-called horned beast of Bahia have continued to emerge, leading many to wonder whether the dense forests and wetlands of Brazil hide something darker, a creature that preys on the countless people who disappear there every year. Meanwhile, deep in the Australian wilderness, the legend of the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger, refuses to die. Officially declared extinct in the 1930s, the thylacine was a marsupial predator once native to Tasmania, mainland Australia, and New Guinea. It resembled a cross between a wolf and a cat, its back marked with distinctive dark stripes. Despite extinction status, sporadic reports of sightings have continued for decades, keeping hope alive that the species may still exist in remote corners of the outback. Recently, a trail camera in a secluded region captured what many believe to be the first photographic evidence in nearly a century. The blurry yet distinct images show a large, striped animal with a long, stiff tail, details that match the thylacine's historical description perfectly. The discovery reignited fierce debate among scientists and cryptozoologists. Some argue the animal could simply be a fox or wild dog with unusual markings, while others insist the body shape, tail structure, and stripes are unmistakable. If proven authentic, it would be one of the greatest rediscoveries in modern zoology, a living fossil defying extinction. The thylacine's symbolic weight runs deep in Australian culture. Its return would not only rewrite biological history but also serve as a stark reminder of human impact on nature, and the possibility that redemption still exists in the wild. Not long after, another chilling image surfaced, this time from the dense woodlands of Indiana. A local man had installed a trail camera on his property to monitor deer, raccoons, and coyotes. But one night, the camera captured something far more disturbing: a tall, humanoid figure with the body of a man and the head of a dog. The creature's glowing eyes pierced through the darkness, its posture upright and unnervingly human. When the man reviewed the footage, he was so disturbed that he kept it secret for days before finally sharing it online. The photo quickly went viral, sparking nationwide debate about the existence of the fabled dogman, a creature long whispered about in American folklore. Some dismissed the image as a hoax or a misidentified animal caught at an odd angle. Others, however, saw it as undeniable proof of something ancient and terrifying. Sightings of dogman-like creatures have been reported for decades across Michigan, Wisconsin, and the Midwest, each describing the same thing: a massive, bipedal, wolf-headed being lurking in the woods. Whether the photo was a trick of light or something far more sinister, it once again blurred the line between myth and reality. Far to the north, in the icy reaches of the Arctic, Inuit mythology tells of the Kalupalik, hideous, scaly beings said to dwell beneath the frozen waters. With rough, fish-like skin and a foul odor of sulfur, these sea creatures are feared for their tendency to snatch children who wander too close to the ice. Their glowing eyes and sharp claws make them terrifying to behold, yet they serve a symbolic purpose: to teach respect for the sea and caution against carelessness in the unforgiving Arctic. The Kalupalik are said to lurk under the ice, waiting patiently for those who stray too near, dragging them into the depths, never to be seen again. Meanwhile, across the Pacific in Japan, stories persist of the kappa, small, frog-like humanoids with green skin, webbed hands, and a bowl-shaped depression on their heads filled with magical water. Said to dwell in rivers and ponds, kappa are mischievous tricksters, known for pulling humans underwater, harassing livestock, or playing pranks. Yet, paradoxically, they also possess honor. In many legends, bowing to a kappa compels it to bow back, spilling the water from its head and robbing it of its power. Despite their sinister nature, kappa are deeply woven into Japanese folklore, representing both the dangers and the balance of nature. And finally, deep within the forests and swamps of the American South, from Texas to Florida and Virginia, lurks another cryptid, the beast of bears. Described as a massive, scarred bear-like creature with patches of missing fur and glowing eyes, this beast has terrified locals for generations. Hunters and campers speak of its low growls echoing through the night and its ghostly presence vanishing before dawn. Some believe it's a deformed bear, others claim it's something supernatural, an ancient predator that refuses to die. Whatever the truth behind these tales, from the lost divers of the Coral Sea to the monsters lurking in Brazil, the Arctic, and America's forests, one thing remains clear: our world is far stranger, darker, and more mysterious than we dare to imagine. The hidden beasts of the earth and sea, legends beyond science. Across the dense forests, swamps, and mountain valleys of North America, stories have persisted for generations about a mysterious creature known as the Beast of Bears. Said to inhabit remote regions, this cryptid is described as a massive, scarred, bear-like figure that avoids human contact whenever possible. Some believe that this creature is incredibly reclusive, emerging only occasionally and vanishing just as swiftly, which might explain why sightings are so rare and fleeting. In Florida, the legend of the Beast of Bears takes on a distinct flavor. The state's vast wilderness, especially the swamps of the Everglades and the northern forests, provide a perfect refuge for such a beast. Witnesses describe the creature moving silently through the murky waters, leaving behind enormous, unrecognizable footprints. The idea of a hulking, scarred beast haunting the swamps fits neatly within Florida's folklore, a region already known for the legend of the skunk ape, a Bigfoot-like creature reported for decades. Some even claim the Beast of Bears is a cousin or rival of the skunk ape, deepening the air of mystery that surrounds the state's wild lands. Further north in Virginia, where rolling hills and thick forests stretch for miles, the creature is also said to have been sighted. Locals tie its presence to the region's early exploration days, suggesting it may have roamed these lands long before settlers arrived. Some theorists believe it could be a relic from a time when larger bear species, now extinct, once dominated the wilderness, with a few surviving remnants evolving in isolation. Even in Arkansas, where sightings are scarce, there are whispers of strange bear-like figures wandering through the Ozarks. What makes this legend truly fascinating is its geographic reach, from the swamps of Florida to the Appalachian forests of Virginia and beyond. If the stories are true, the Beast of Bears would have to be an extraordinarily adaptable creature, capable of thriving in multiple habitats across the American South. Some cryptozoologists believe it may be a surviving descendant of prehistoric megafauna, giant bears or similar beasts that once roamed North America during the Ice Age. Others propose simpler explanations, that what people see are simply sick or injured bears suffering from mange or scars, creating an eerie, distorted image of something otherworldly. While science may dismiss these tales as misidentification or myth, the Beast of Bears continues to symbolize humanity's ancient fear of the wild and the unknown. These stories remind us that even today, in an age of satellites and surveillance, there are still corners of our world that may harbor secrets we cannot yet explain. Far from the forests of the American South, another mystery lurks in the depths of the Atlantic, the legend of the Bermuda Beast. Within the boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle, a region between Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, countless ships and planes have disappeared without a trace. Among the theories seeking to explain these vanishings is one that points not to weather or magnetism, but to something alive, a monstrous, colossal sea creature that dwells in the deepest parts of the ocean. Described as a titanic predator larger than any known sea creature, the Bermuda Beast is said to rise from the water with enough power to snatch aircraft from the sky and drag entire ships beneath the waves. Witnesses claim it has a serpentine body armored with scales, glowing eyes, and a mouth filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Some stories even ascribe to it a strange intelligence, an ability to anticipate its prey's movement and attack with deadly precision. While modern science has found no evidence of such a beast, legends of monstrous sea creatures date back centuries, from the kraken of Norse mythology to the great serpents of ancient sailor tales. The Bermuda Beast could simply be the Triangle's own version of these timeless myths, a terrifying embodiment of humankind's fear of the unknown depths. The mystery deepened in 1945 when 5 U.S. Navy bombers, known as Flight 19, vanished without a trace during a routine training mission. Their disappearance, along with hundreds of similar incidents, has fueled speculation about magnetic anomalies, methane gas eruptions, time warps, and of course, sea monsters. Whether literal or symbolic, the Bermuda Beast represents the part of the ocean we still cannot understand, a reminder that beneath the surface of the sea, mystery and fear still reign. Thousands of miles away, in the warm waters off Vietnam, another cryptid emerges, the con rit, an oceanic centipede said to stretch over 60 feet long. This terrifying creature, armored in bony plates and covered in segmented joints, reportedly swims through the deep with fins like a fish, propelling itself with serpentine grace. First brought to scientific attention in the 1920s by Dr. A. Kremp, the con rit is said to be capable of crushing boats and devouring sailors whole. Witnesses throughout Vietnamese history have described carcasses washing ashore, long, jointed, and metallic in sound when struck, like the remnants of an ancient armored leviathan. Some researchers speculate that these accounts might stem from misidentified oarfish or giant squids, creatures already strange enough to inspire fear and confusion. Yet in the folklore of coastal Vietnam, the con rit is more than an animal. It is a spirit of the sea, a guardian or destroyer depending on the respect shown by those who sail its waters. And still deeper, beneath the frozen layers of Antarctica, lies one of the strangest modern cryptid legends of all, Organism 46b. Said to dwell in Lake Vostok, a body of water buried beneath over 2 miles of glacial ice, this creature was allegedly encountered by a team of Russian researchers in 2012. According to leaked accounts, Organism 46b was an enormous, highly intelligent squid-like creature capable of emitting venom, camouflaging its body, and even hypnotizing its prey with pulsating bioluminescent displays. Scientists have long noted that real cephalopods possess remarkable skills, from changing shape and color to squeezing through impossibly small spaces. But the more bizarre claims surrounding Organism 46b, including telepathic influence and shapeshifting, push this legend into the realm of nightmare. Some say it was captured by the Russian government and hidden from the public. Others insist the entire story was an elaborate hoax. Either way, it embodies humanity's fear of the unknown lurking beneath the world's last untouched frontier. Finally, high in the icy wilderness of Alaska, there are whispers of the giant polar bear, a creature far larger than any known species, said to reach heights of 15 feet and possess supernatural strength. Indigenous Alaskan tribes have spoken for generations of a great white predator that can vanish into the snow, hunting silently under the aurora-lit skies. Whether a relic of prehistoric bears or a myth born from fear and isolation, the story of the Alaskan giant polar bear continues to inspire awe, a living ghost of an ancient world. From the swamps of Florida to the glacial depths of Antarctica, humanity's legends of hidden beasts tell a deeper story, one not just of monsters, but of mystery. They remind us that our world, vast and ancient, still holds secrets beyond the reach of science, and perhaps beyond imagination itself. The giants of Alaska and the hidden truth of the skies. Deep within the frozen wilderness of Alaska, legends speak of a colossal guardian, the Alaskan giant polar bear. Revered by native tribes as a fearsome protector of the wild, this massive creature has captured imaginations for centuries. Hunters and explorers tell stories of a bear unlike any other, towering over the snowfields with fur as white as glacier and paws large enough to crush boulders. In the early 20th century, a group of gold prospectors encountered one such beast in the mists of the Alaskan wilderness. It appeared suddenly, a moving mountain of white fur and rage. The men, though armed, were paralyzed by fear. They barely escaped with their lives. Another tale tells of a Kodiak Island woman whose father once battled and killed a colossal white bear with hairy paws. She swore it was unlike any known species, a living relic from another age. Reports of the giant polar bear stretch far beyond Alaska. Sightings have surfaced in Greenland, Alberta, and even Quebec. Stories of enormous white creatures seen stalking frozen ridges or descending snow-covered slopes. One couple in Alberta described a terrifying vision of a two-headed white bear glimpsed from their gondola in winter. In Quebec, an elderly woman claimed to see a fur-covered mass sliding silently down a hill as she sipped her hot chocolate. Despite numerous expeditions, no evidence has ever been found, only whispers and fear. Some researchers believe these beings could be the last survivors of an ancient species, Ursus maritimus tyrannus, a prehistoric bear that stood taller and broader than any polar bear alive today. Fossils of this species were once unearthed near London's Thames River, suggesting that such giants once roamed much of the northern hemisphere. But Alaska's mysteries go far beyond its monstrous bears. The region known as the Alaskan Triangle has become infamous for hundreds of unexplained disappearances. Since the early 2000s, pilots, hikers, and residents have vanished without a trace. Some believe these vanishings are connected to mythological creatures, supernatural forces, or even extraterrestrial visitors. In 2014, a Department of Defense employee in San Diego captured something extraordinary, a metallic sphere hovering in the sky. The images were crystal clear, a smooth, reflective orb with no wings, engines, or exhaust. The witness submitted the photos to top UFO organizations, and soon after, they vanished without a trace. The disappearance ignited a storm of theories. Some claimed it was a government cover-up, that the sphere was an advanced military project never meant for public eyes. Others believed it was extraterrestrial, and that the witness's silence was enforced not by man, but by something beyond this world. Whistleblowers and UFO researchers have long reported threats, harassment, and mysterious visits from men in black suits, shadowy figures who warn witnesses to stay silent. Many believe these are not mere urban legends, but the dark hand of agencies determined to keep secrets buried. One of the most tragic examples is Dr. James E. McDonald, a respected physicist who publicly demanded scientific investigation into UFOs in the 1960s. Soon after, his career collapsed under pressure and he died under mysterious circumstances. Why such secrecy? Perhaps some UFOs are experimental military craft, their existence too sensitive to reveal. Or perhaps the truth is far more unsettling, that these objects are not of this earth, and their technology surpasses our own by centuries. Military pilots have reported objects moving at impossible speeds, performing turns that defy physics, and vanishing into thin air. No human technology can replicate such maneuvers. If these crafts are not ours, then whose are they? The question cuts deep into the heart of global security. The skies above us may hold secrets that challenge everything we know about science, defense, and reality itself. The unanswered silence. Today, the metallic sphere of San Diego and the vanished witness remain unsolved mysteries, fragments of a larger truth hidden behind layers of secrecy. From the ice-clad giants of Alaska to the silent watchers above our skies, humanity continues to search for answers that may never be found. Perhaps the real question isn't whether we are alone, but how far those who know the truth will go to keep it hidden.